Have you ever wanted to create your own handicapping dream team? You can now build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Even more exciting, until Sunday, January 16th at midnight, you can save 15% off your Pick Your Team using coupon code PYT15 when checking out. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, and Ralph Michaels, John Ryan, Joseph D'Amico, and Rocket Man. The combinations are endless, and you can choose up to 5 handicappers. You start saving once you choose any 2 handicappers of your choice, and you can pay as little as under $6 per handicapper. Who will make your dream lineup? Just go to WagerTalk or Sports Memo, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand select your handicapping roster. Don't forget, coupon code PYT15 will expire January 16th, so make sure to get your 15% discount.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. It's January 10th, Monday, national championship game. But, oh, my God, we have a ton to talk about. We could dedicate this entire show to what I think was one of the greatest football games ever played, and definitely the single most dramatic drive in the history of football as far as just outright drama. 4th and 10, drop passes, wide receivers couldn't find the balls in the air. Wow! I'm pumped up, dude. I got a ton to talk about, but let's start with hello, Teddy. Why don't you tell us what's going on in the show today?
Why don't I tell you that? Because I don't have those notes in front of me. What I have the notes in front of me, Prez, are for bad beats, bad bets, bad.
Well, we'll get to that.
You have the show notes in front of you. If you like, I'll call them up right here.
No. Marco,
I can help you with this. No, please.
I'm doing it. No, why are we arguing now already? Why?
Because you threw to me when I
don't want to argue.
Segment, we're going to start out with Marco D'Angelo, who's going to talk national championship game, Georgia and Alabama. He's also going to go to the NBA tonight and talk Cavs and Kings. I'll break down that same game with my big game breakdown. Andrew McInnis will join us after that, talking a pair of NHL, Seattle, the Kraken against the Avalanche, the Rangers against the Kings, NHL action. We'll close it out with Bryan Leonard today. He's going to talk a little NFL playoff preview for this coming weekend. Las Vegas against Cincinnati. He'll break that one down, as well as the Chiefs and the Steelers. But before we get into that, Prez, what did you learn last night?
Okay, well, dude, firstly, let's start with just me as a handicapper. I really felt that this past weekend was a missed opportunity. I didn't get it right. I went 1-2 yesterday. I had the under in the Tennessee game, and after that Phantom made up, I don't understand the rules, pass interference call at the end of the second quarter. I knew that one was dead. And then I had the Chargers. And I'm comfortable. You know what? And the crazy thing is I do it again with the Chargers. But, I look at the card and I'm like, I loved Miami. You released it. I didn't have the balls. Why didn't I play this? Why didn't I play that? I mean, hindsight has never been bigger than it is today for me. But Teddy, we got to talk about the San Diego, this LA Chargers Raider game. I mean, right off the bat, and I'm curious what you think here. Do you think that timeout changed the way the Raiders were playing?
I don't know, but it's one of those timeouts you can't take. And you can make an argument that's the most epic regular season NFL game of all time. You really could. I mean, it was.
I don't know how. Yeah. Like Boise State and Oklahoma called. They're like, we won our best game title back.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Dude, you throw. I'm talking. I got a point. It's not written down. It's in my head. You start babbling. It's gone. You know how it is, dude. It's first thing Monday morning. But the bottom line is this, Lawrence. You say you would take the Chargers again? I wouldn't take the Chargers again. They lost. They were trailing throughout. And it's a Raiders team. All year the Raiders did this. All year they faced adversity. All year they took punches, and all year they punched back. But, I mean, what do we say about it other than it doesn't fall into any of the bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books categories. It wasn't a bad beat. Raiders were the right side in that game, start to finish. Wasn't a bad, well, I guess the money, but the line didn't move off a 3. It wasn't a bad bet. And it wasn't bad for the books. The books were rooting for the Raiders last night. So doesn't fall into the 6 Bs, which doesn't make it anything less of an epic game. But what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think of the timeout there? Obviously, in retrospect, the timeout is what's going to
so
get
the initial
all the hype. But my last point on this, Prez, but in a game of that magnitude, okay, where one questionable coaching decision ends up being the difference, it gets really magnified. Staley can't call the timeout there. He did. Note, after the game, his quotes for calling the timeout, he's like, we wanted to get our run defense stepped up.
Bullshit.
Ready. And then they got their run defense ready, and the Raiders ripped off a 10-yard gain on the next carry. So the timeout didn't work. And it was probably a brain fart on Staley's part, who made, some dicey decisions, going for it. What was that? Were they on their own 18-yard line?
4th and 1 on there, yeah.
Yeah. Some decisions you just can't make. And Staley,
but
I think he'll learn from that.
Teddy, listen, I agree with every word, and I'm not going to sit here and say I was on the right side, but I will say that the turning point happened when the refs decided that a ball that can't be caught was pass interference. That was a huge 7 free points for Vegas, and right before they went into the dressing room and they came out, and you saw Vegas was up, Chargers were down. I mean, it's no excuse. Chargers still should have been able to come back from knowing that the refs gifted the other team 7 points, but I felt that was a crucial spot in the game. And maybe one of the worst pass interference calls I've ever seen in my life, like where a guy gets mugged in Toronto and they throw a flag in New Jersey. That's how egregious that pass interference call was. And it went on and on and on. I mean, Joey Bosa almost had the fumble in his hand, or the other guy, where he hit the ball, knocked the ball down. The other guy almost had the fumble. I mean, it was every 5 minutes of that game was drama packed. Okay, dude, let's go. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Let's hear about the Indianapolis Colts at some point.
Colts aren't on the list either. Let's do it, though. Bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A little recap of what happened in NFL action this past weekend. And look, I know the Jags beat the Colts. It wasn't a bad beat. It wasn't a bad bet. It wasn't bad for the books. Doesn't fit in. Chargers, Raiders doesn't fit into bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. What we had yesterday was some real bad beats. All right. In my mind, the Browns minus 6.5. That's the definition of a bad beat. All right. It was a no-show game for Cincy. There were backups everywhere. They had Brandon Allen at quarterback. The offense did nothing. 6 first-half drives, 6 punts. They didn't gain more than 20 yards on any of those drives. It's 14-0. But they get a fumble return touchdown, and now it's 14-7 before halftime because Case Keenum drove the Browns down to the Cincy 11-yard line before throwing a pick. They don't even get a field goal there. And then the Browns open the second half, and they got a 79-yard drive. They get down to the 2-yard line. They get stuffed on 4th down again. No points. They're still up 21-10. 7 minutes to play. Bengals convert 3rd and 10, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 10, 4th and 1. On the one drive where they moved the football all day, they scored their only touchdown of the day on 4th down, lost by only 5. That's a bad beat if you had Cleveland. Yeah, the Jets, it was a pretty tough beat too, man. The Bills offense did nothing all day. They're minus 16. It's 13-10 into the 4th quarter. You can't cover 16 when you only score 13. But then short field touchdown in the last 2 drives. Bills end up covering the number, win by 17 at 16-point chalks against Zach Wilson and company. But the Rams minus 3. They're up 17 at halftime. They blow the lead. They're still up by late. They're still up by a touchdown late in the 4th. Then they go 3 and out, but they punt San Fran deep. The Niners need 88 yards in 1 minute and 27 seconds with no timeouts. Didn't even take them a minute. Then San Fran won in overtime. That was tough for Rams backers. And last but not least, when it comes to bad beats, Brian Blessing, we miss you already, brother. Another friend gone from COVID. Get a freaking jab out there. Please get a shot. That's all I'm going to say about that. Bad bets. Look, Aaron Rodgers is going to play. There's lots of Packers money. First half money. Some of that was mine. The defense didn't show up, though, and Rodgers didn't suit up after halftime. Jordan Love couldn't lead that game-winning drive the same way. Green Bay first half, Green Bay full game. No good. Those are bad bets. Lots of Packers money yesterday before kickoff. And bad for the books. It was not a great day for the house, I'll tell you that. They were glad to see the Raiders win the late game. That saved them. But nobody laid with the Ravens. It was all Steelers money, +6 to +3. Pittsburgh wins outright as a dog. Nobody laid with the Rams, +6.5 down to +3. Even up 17-0 wasn't safe. The Niners win outright in overtime as a dog. The Bucks took all the public money yesterday, all the wise guy money too, -8 up to -11. Carolina scored the first touchdown, then a 41-10 Bucks run out the rest of the way. That was bad for the books. Dolphins, wise guy special against the Patriots yesterday, wire-to-wire job. Lots of wise guy money on the Jags, lots of wise guy money on the Texans. Both of those covered. And, of course, one total worth noting, Giants-Washington total was 41 at the open, bet down to 36, 22-7 final. All that under money cashed as well. So not a great day for the books yesterday. Plenty of bad for the books action in Week 18 NFL. There you have it, Prez. A little bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, Teddy, and I know you're emotional about Brian dying, and it's terrible. He was a wonderful man and an icon figure in Buffalo, that's for sure. I mean, we grew up listening to him. We're going to bring Marco D'Angelo. Before that, real quick, Leslie Grosslight shows up into the chat room, Teddy. The Prez, the Wayne Root, Jim Feistland, other 60s charlatans who know absolutely zilch. Okay. Dude, you're like a eunuch going to a brothel. Why are you here? Why? Go away. Marco D'Angelo. Anything to add to anything that has been discussed so far, my friend?
Well, guys, you're lucky I'm even here today because that game last night between the Raiders and the Chargers, I know I don't have much hair, but I lost even more last night. As a Steeler fan watching that game saying, this freaking game is going to end in a tie, and everything that we saw happen in the afternoon would be all for naught if that game ends in a tie. And I was at South Point last night. As I always do on Sunday night, I go watch the Sunday night game and play poker. I had to get up from the poker table at the start of the fourth quarter because I couldn't concentrate on both at the same time. It was that nerve-wracking, and I'm sitting there in a room where everybody was cheering for the frickin' tie. Give me a break. It was not fun watching the end of that game. And Teddy, yeah. I got to throw one more bad beat out there for you. That wasn't widely known, but the big contest we have here in Vegas at Circa, the Circa Millions contest.
Sure.
Two guys went to the final week within a half a point of each other, and they had 2 entries each. One guy had first and third, and the other guy had second and fourth. The guy that was second and fourth put his first set of entries in with the plays he liked. His second entry, he put the exact opposite 5 plays in. The guy that was leading basically wire to wire all season, put his 5 plays in on both entries. The guy that had the opposites leapfrogged him on the final Sunday to win the contest. I think that's got to be a bad beat because if the other guy does the flip-flop too, he wins the contest.
That is not a bad beat in any sense. That's called stupidity. Marco, I mean, stupidity does not count as bad beats. No. Shame on that guy. Anyway. Teddy, Marco was on Baltimore yesterday. As a Pittsburgh fan, do you find yourself in a win-win there or a lose-lose, Marco?
No, I was rooting for Baltimore I had my money on Baltimore. I thought it was a horrible spot. And I'll tell you what, we talk about Brandon Staley and his coaching decisions yesterday costing his team. John Harbaugh cost his team that game yesterday. Okay. He
and
made
others.
A lot of decisions this year. Some of them, were, you could understand the going for the 2 points, not wanting to go to overtime because his secondary was depleted and this and that. But my God, you are 4th and 2 at the 45-yard line of the Steelers. I have no problem going for the first down. But it is raining in Baltimore. And you go with a fake punt and ask a punter to complete a pass and not a safety valve pass. It was a pass downfield in the rain. That was the most idiotic call that I have seen in the Pittsburgh-Baltimore series. And then when they were up 10-6 and had the opportunity to salt the game away with 1st and goal, he throws the football and lets Huntley throw an interception in the end zone.
Yeah, Horrible. He let him throw. Huntley asked him on the sideline, Sir Coach, do you mind if I throw an interception at the goal line? Sir Coach goes, yeah, permission granted. Marco, Georgia, Alabama, if you could keep this to like a day, would be great. Where are you going in this game?
Well, I'm going with Georgia, and I got down a couple days ago when I could grab a 2.5. We're seeing mostly 3s today. This is the rematch. You know what happened in the first meeting, but I really think that Georgia wasn't totally mentally prepared for the first meeting. They knew in the back of their minds, no matter what happened in that game, they were in the playoff picture. They weren't dropping from 1 to 5, losing to Alabama. Whereas on the flip side, Alabama, it was a life and death game. They had to win that game to get in there. They weren't getting in with 2 losses. So advantage Alabama. Also now in the rematch, Georgia's going to go to the drawing board. They're going to make changes. If you're Alabama, what do you change? Your game plan works. So I think that gives an advantage to Georgia as well. But there's the big elephant in the room, and, pun intended with Alabama in the tide there, the 25-1 with Saban against his, former assistants. That's there. That's going to be in the head of Georgia, if they fall behind. But I like Georgia here. I was on Georgia big against Michigan, and they absolutely dominated that game. That defense came to play. They shut down a good Michigan offense. I think they shut down. They don't shut down Alabama totally, but I can tell you this much. Bryce Young's not going to throw for over 400 yards tonight. I've got Georgia 27-20. And gets the national championship.
So let me ask you this, Marco, because that first meeting was so high scoring, the total in this game, let's call it 52.5 at most books. Sounds to me like you like the under in this one as well as Georgia. Is there a correlation between the two? Can Georgia cover this point spread and win this game if this game goes over the total?
If it's a shootout, I don't want Georgia in a shootout. Yes, obviously this is a correlated parlay. And if I get involved with any props, and one of the props that I'll get involved in, obviously, is going to be Bryce Young passing yards, because it's going to be inflated because of that first game. And don't forget, he's got his best, one of his best wide receivers out of the lineup tonight that he had in that game that accounted for 100 yards and a touchdown in that first meeting. So, yes, I agree with what you're saying, Teddy. This is Georgia and under. If it's Alabama, there's going to be more of a tendency for it to be a shootout. That would mean the Georgia defense is not getting the job done.
Marco D'Angelo joining us, everyone. And Marco, you kill it in the NFL playoffs every year. Tell us about that real quick. And it's $119 to grab your NFL playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great deal, guys. We're charging less this year than last year, and you got more playoff games. Extra playoff games, an extra day. The first week, we've got 3 days instead of 2 days wild card weekend. 70% last year in the playoffs. and more importantly, 3-0 on 5% plays. 5% plays are $35 a piece, guys. That's basically the price of the package. If I have 3 of them again, go to WagerTalk and pick up that playoff package for me or your favorite capper at WagerTalk, their playoff package as well.
Marco D, co-founder of WagerTalk.com. Brother, NBA, Cleveland at Sacramento. How you betting this game?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Sacramento Kings, guys. And a month ago, Cleveland was the buzz of the NBA. They won 6 in a row in 10 out of 12 games. More importantly, they went on a stretch from November 22nd until December 18th. They had a 14-1 against the spread run in the NBA. Well, Cleveland was the darling with the NBA bettors, obviously, with that run. And as we always see, the market catches up to a team. And what happened? Well, since December 22nd, Cleveland's 3-6 straight up and 2-7 against the spread. But, you look at it and say, okay, how come they're not, all of a sudden covering anymore? Well, the market, as it always does, corrects itself, but it's slow to go back to where it should be. I think they're overpriced. And I'm looking at this game tonight with Sacramento, and that's a perfect example. When I sent my play in last night, the overnight line was 3.5, and I was happy with 3.5. It's up to 5 today. They're pounding Cleveland. They want the Cavs. I'm going to grab Sacramento here. And if you go back to when they played in Cleveland just a month ago, the line was 6.5. Cleveland was a 6.5-point favorite at home, and now they're a 5-point favorite on the road. That is too much, in my opinion. Also, if you look at Sacramento, when they went to Cleveland, they were playing their 3rd game in 4 days, all in different cities, and the night before was in a shootout, 124-123, and was on the losing end of that gut-wrenching game. I like Sacramento here to pull it off, and I will give you one stat here. Cleveland's been a streaky team, and over the last 2 seasons, if they're coming off a point spread loss in their previous game, they're 19-38 against the spread in their next one. Give me Sacramento plus the points tonight at home.
Sacramento is yours. Guys, Teddy will have a follow-up response to that in his big game breakdown. Marco D'Angelo, thanks for joining us, my friend. We got to keep the show moving. Lots more to go, and we got a hard 12:45 out as Teddy's opening line report is coming up next. Cue the commercial, Dan.
What's new in the NFL this season? First ever NFL Week 18 regular season games. NFL playoffs with 6 wildcard games, including a Monday night wildcard game. And WagerTalk and Sports Memo handicappers lowering the price for the NFL playoffs. Last season, the NFL playoff pass was priced at $149, but this year, not only have we lowered the NFL playoff price to $119, but included NFL Week 18 for free. That's right, for $119, you get the final week of the regular season, plus the NFL playoffs through the Super Bowl on February 13, 2022, including any 5% best bets. No coupon code is needed. Just go to your favorite handicappers page at WagerTalk and Sports Memo and choose the NFL playoff pass in the football dropdown. And don't forget, if you buy before this weekend, get the remainder of the NFL regular season included for free.
It is time for today's big game breakdown, and I'm going to talk the same Kings-Cavaliers game that Marco D'Angelo just broke down before the break, but I'm going to give the case for the actual winning side of this game, as opposed to his case for the Sacramento Kings. And look, all right, you can make the case that, oh my God, the line was 6.5 in Cleveland a month ago, and now it's 5 in Sacramento, and that's supposedly some value on the Kings. Sacramento's getting worse, not better. They've lost each of their last 4 straight ball games, including the first 3 on this homestand. Interim head coach Alvin Gentry, quote, "We're not in position to have pity parties." It's the old adage about tough times don't last, tough people do. So we got to make sure we've got tough people surviving this thing, because it's no fun at all what we're going through right now. What they're going through right now is another skid. Again, they played in Portland yesterday. They actually arrived in Sacramento later than the Cavaliers did. So Cleveland more rested for the team the second of back-to-backs in this instance. The Cavs have been money winners in the second of back-to-backs. The Sacramento Kings have not been money winners on the second of back-to-backs. Marco brought up some stat about the Cavs 19-38 off a law. I don't care what the Cavs did last year. This year, off a loss, Cleveland, 11-point spread wins, 5-point spread losses, 1 push in 17 previous tries. They've been consistent moneymakers in this role. The Kings, just 10-15 against the spread off a loss, again, including each of the last 3. Defense, Cleveland's number 3 in the NBA. They're coming off a good defensive game against Golden State, just a bad offensive game, and they got clocked on the boards. That's not going to happen here. The Kings, number 25 in defense this year. They're not a good rebounding team. Cavs have all the edges. Cavs are the better team. Cavs win this one by margin. Give me Cleveland minus the points. And there's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Great stuff, Teddy. Too bad Marco's not here. You guys could have had a little scrap. Anyway, let's get going. Andrew McInnis joining us, and I got to tell you, Teddy, Andrew is on a sick NHL run. We every Monday for the last 6 months has been Marco and Brian. I'm like, Andrew, you have to come on. When you are 49-17 in a particular sport, we need you on WagerTalk Today to discuss. Dude, 49-17. I mean, that is, and it's not like you're betting minus 180s. Like, that is sick.
What's up, guys? Good to be here.
Yeah, congratulations on your run. Let's get right into it, man. New York Rangers at LA Kings today. Real hard for me not to look at the Rangers anytime they're close to a pick 'em. And here they are. 5.5 is the total in this game. How are you betting it?
Yeah, when I look at this game, I think that looking at what happened with the New York Rangers against the Vegas Golden Knights, a few games back for them, was a little bit of a wake-up call for them. Obviously, they have their starting goaltender injured, but they lost that game, there was some emotion in that, some returning players, returning head coaches. They lose that game 5-1, and immediately they bounce back their next game against the Anaheim Ducks and win that 4-1. They play great on both ends of the ice, great defensively especially, and then they were in the middle of playing some great hockey, and all of a sudden they have a dud. And some people think that once you see that dud, you might want to shy away from a team for a little bit. For me, I like to see a little bit of adversity happen to a team every now and then just to kind of wake them up and just kind of humble a team a little bit. That's kind of what we saw for the New York Rangers when they played the Vegas Golden Knights. They go on to beat the Anaheim Ducks afterwards. And we have this LA team that just absolutely dominated the Detroit Red Wings 4-0. Marco was just on. He used that expression, fat and sassy. I think LA might be a little confident, maybe a little bit too confident in this game here, and they might get caught off guard against the Rangers. So at a pick-em price, like you said, Prez, it has to be the Rangers for me.
So on a limited NHL card for tonight, lots of games canceled, 4 games unfortunately postponed in the NHL. There is a $4 favorite you want to talk about. That would be the Colorado Avalanche, minus $4, total 6.5, money pouring in on the over for this one against the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken looking very much like an expansion team in recent weeks. What do we do with this matchup, Andrew?
Yeah, Teddy, we're starting to see a lot more of these $4 favorites. I think we saw a minus 600 the other day in the NHL. So we are seeing some of these big favorites. And yeah, Seattle has not been strong this year. They have been a typical expansion team, like you mentioned. And I think it's not really as expected. Some people thought we might see the second coming of the Vegas Golden Knights with the Kraken, and that's just not been the case with them. In fact, there's a defenseman, Cale Makar for the Colorado Avalanche, that actually has more goals than any forward on the Seattle Kraken. That just goes to show how much better this Avalanche team really is than the Seattle Kraken. However, I'm looking at the over here. You mentioned money coming in. I agree with it. I'm on the over 6.5 in this game. I don't love 6.5 by any means. I try and avoid those, but in this spot in particular, it's one that I wanted to jump on. You look at this Kraken team, they have not played good hockey recently, no matter who they've played, but they haven't played a game since New Year's Day. They have not played a game since New Year's Day, and they're a team I think that needed the rest. But I always say when you have that much extended rest, these players don't forget how to play hockey. They don't forget how to skate, how to snipe top corner. They forget the defensive capability. And Colorado right now coming off a massive comeback victory against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were down 3-1. They win that game 5-4. They're playing really well right now. Last couple games, 5-4, 7-1, 4-3. Colorado putting up numbers themselves. I believe we see both teams get involved tonight. Over 6.5 for me, guys.
Yeah, I love that pick. And Colorado made a 4-1 comeback, not 3-1. I just need to correct someone so I can feel like Teddy every now and again. Andrew McInnis, everyone, guys. Last week around this time we had Brandon on. We told you guys how great he is. We made a bunch of those season sales. I got some promo codes for you for Andrew's NHL. I feel the same way about him. 49-17 run. Those numbers don't, that's a once every blue moon type of a run. NHL 119, if you want a month of Andrew, $119. NHL 119. And if you want all the way through to June or July or whenever it's going to end, the whole season in playoffs, $299. What is it? Net 299. Net 299. Andrew, that's it. I've done your promotions for you. Get out of here. Go do what 23-year-olds do, and we'll bring in a man who could be your dad, Bryan Leonard. Bryan Leonard could be his dad, but the worst part about it, Teddy, is so could you, and so could I. Anyway.
Yeah, but Bryan and Andrew kind of have the same hair. Like Andrew's hair is going to look like Bryan's in 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah.
50
yeah,
years.
And like Mao Zedong. Bryan Leonard, everyone. You don't see it, Teddy? You don't see? I don't even know if that's the Korean leader's name. I like Sing Sung. Mao's the dad. I don't know, but I see the North Korean leader in your hairdo, Bri. Welcome to the show.
You're in different countries, bro. You couldn't be further away.
Countries different.
All right. Mao Zedong was the leader of China in the 50s and 60s in the Great Cultural Revolution.
Well, what's the name? What's the name of the guy?
The name of the guy is Bryan Leonard. Hey, Bryan, how are you today, my friend?
He's talking about the Rocket Man. I'm doing very well, and I want to talk about a couple of things before I get into my plays. First off, Prez made a little comment earlier about the minus 180 favorite. Just want to let you know I got that. And Teddy, I really appreciate you.
I wasn't mad, Bri. I wasn't implying a damn thing. Legit.
We know what you were talking about because I spoke to that gentleman yesterday about it.
What?
Neither one of us have any idea what you're talking about.
I'll tell you after the show. Anyway, Teddy, I appreciate you talking about Brian Blessing. We've lost, Ballpark Frank, another staple here in Las Vegas over the last month. Brian Blessing was a total shock, and the love that is poured out not only in Vegas but from Buffalo, where he used to work. He's just been a great guy. I've never met anybody who ever said a bad thing about Brian Blessing. It's a shocking development. It's you're very familiar with the Dave Malinsky thing. It's to lose these guys before their time really sucks, and we see more of that as all three of us get older, and it's a shame. And thoughts go out to Brian and his family.
Amen.
Well said, Bri. We agree. Okay, well, we got to go from that to actionable info. Sorry. Vegas, Cincinnati. They're playing, I think they're first up in the wild card week. Yes, they are. 49 is the total. Jesus, man, what the hell? It was like minus 4.5 or something when I went to bed. Now it's 6.5. Yeah. Teddy's got Tourette's, everyone. Bri, what's up? How are we betting this game?
It wasn't minus 4.5 when you went to bed. Unless you went to bed at some ridiculous hour before the lines were actually up. So, yeah.
Okay. Bri?
Want to talk this game. There's two teams that are in the playoffs with losing net points on the season. Pittsburgh Steelers minus 55. The the Las Vegas Raiders, sorry about that, minus 65. The Raiders played Cincinnati earlier in the season. Cincinnati won that game handily. I like the total in this game. I like Cincinnati also, but the line is going up 6.5. I think it's a little bit too much. But if you just take a look at the net points on the season, we're looking at 149. That's about, in the 8 range, and plus you're giving them home field advantage. Maybe it isn't too high here. But the reason it keeps me off of Cincinnati is it's their first time in the playoffs in a long time. Same with the Raiders here. You got two teams coming in with young quarterbacks, at least somewhat young in Carr's situation. A lot of people are going to think these coaches are going to be very conservative. I look at it in a different way. I think we got two quarterbacks that are known to pass the football. They're going to have some success. The Raiders got their big receiver back, tight end receiver, back this last week. They'll be able to open up the offense, and they haven't had that in the last few weeks. You got a Cincinnati team that's just been on a tremendous run offensively. I think this game goes over the total. I wanted to release it early. I think it wouldn't surprise me if it gets close to 51, which is a key number here. And one thing I always look at when it comes to the playoffs, I prefer to play overs as opposed to unders, because in the regular season, you don't want to embarrass teams because you could play them again, especially in divisional games, but you could play them again in the playoffs. Once the playoffs come, and let's say Cincinnati's got a decent lead in this game, they're going to continue to try to score. I like this game over. I think this is one of those where a lot of people are looking at it, thinking they're going to come out and feel each other out a little bit in the first. I don't think so. I think both teams have the ability to put a lot of points on the board. And you take a look at the Raiders, they gave up 439 points on the season, which was only, 13 less than the Houston Texans and 17 less than the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Raiders' defense isn't very good. This game's going over.
So what do we do in terms of January football when we're looking to bet overs, Brian? Is this the kind of story where you want to wait until closer to kickoff, where we have a more accurate forecast, maybe the money? And the initial look for the Saturday in Cincinnati is light rain, chance of snow showers, temperature in the upper 20s / low 30s. And that's, again, we're a week out. We don't know how accurate that forecast is going to be, but that's at least what the look-ahead forecast is for right now. Do you want to make these bets early? Do you want to wait until you see the weather conditions start to develop and then you make them the bets later because the total might go down? How do you deal with overs in January?
Yeah, I've got no problem betting it now because it's under the number of 51. You want to make sure you get less than 51. You're betting this over. But you do want to keep into account the weather situations. But as opposed to rain and cold, wind is what we're looking for, sustained winds. And as long as we don't find any sustained winds of 15 or longer or higher, 20 and higher, then we're in good shape here, especially for a Cincinnati team that can pass the football. And the thing is, both of these teams not only have a quarterback that can throw the football, they both have running backs that can take over a game. So when you have dual threats offensively in these situations, I expect the games to go over.
There, Bryan Leonard, everyone. Brian, you want to talk Kansas City, Pittsburgh? I'm so glad that you chose NFL wildcard games, especially today, because I'm going to be thinking and researching them all week. I just love hearing people I respect's opinions. Man, 44-10? Does that sound about right?
It does in my viewpoint, as I like Kansas City in this game. I talked about point differential and net points. Steelers minus the 55, the Chiefs plus 116. That's 171 points played in 17 games. I'm not a mathematician, but that's 10 points a game that Kansas City's been better than the Steelers. We're looking at a home field this year. If you're taking the median, it's 0. If you're taking the average, it's 1.6. And you would expect home field to be a little bit stronger in the playoffs. So maybe it's 3 here for Kansas City. Puts us about where the line is. But that doesn't account to, number one, the bad matchup for Pittsburgh here. And number two, what Pittsburgh's going through. I was with Marco when he was watching that game yesterday, and it was driving me crazy, him rooting against his favorite team. But that's what happens when your money is involved. You've got to be able to put away your favoritism and bet on where you think the value is. But this Pittsburgh team has been lousy. If you go back, the last 13 games they played, they've only played 3 teams that are in the playoffs. They've had a very weak schedule. They were outscored in those 3 games 90-29, basically 30-10 per game against teams that made the playoffs. Now they're on the road after all this excitement from the last 2 or 3 weeks with Ben retiring and all. Ben should have retired last year and maybe not even the year before. He just has not been good. And I talk about in the last game about teams with dual offenses where they could score from the passing game and the running game. Kansas City's the same way. Pittsburgh can't throw the football. You watch those games, a 10-yard out, a 12-yard out is the best pass that Ben has all game long. They've got to be able to win with the running game, and this is a team in Kansas City that has the ability to jump early. Kansas City takes a 10-0 lead after the first quarter. Who's going to win this game? Pittsburgh does not have the ability to come back in the passing game. If Kansas City's got a lead, we always do a lot of live betting. Kansas City's got an early lead in this game. I'm just going to continue to bet Kansas City. I think it's a blowout situation. They blew them out earlier, and Pittsburgh shouldn't even be here. And granted, they made it, and as a Browns fan, I was happy they made it. That means that they get a worse draft pick. So give me Kansas City laying the points here, and that'll be my second play for today.
So when it comes to the point differential stuff, Bri, we've seen over the last 25 years, a good handful of teams, as I've been in Vegas, a good handful of teams make the playoffs with a negative point differential of, let's say, minus 31 or higher, above 30, but 30 points or worse. They've been outscored. Let's say make it minus 32 or higher. They've been outscored by an average of 2 points a game. Carolina Panthers 2014 won their wild card game. Denver Broncos 2011 won their wild card game. Seattle Seahawks 2010 won their wild card game. St. Louis Rams 2004 won their wild card game. Arizona Cardinals 1988 won their wild card game. That's 5 chances, 5-0 with those teams that aren't good enough to be here and shouldn't be here. Does that concern you at all about Pittsburgh as they travel to KC?
First of all, a 5-0 streak, and I'm well aware of it. Those are it's a small sample size, obviously, yes. But those are teams that nobody thinks should be there, and they rally around that point, and the coach tells them that the entire time. And those are the teams I like to play on. Unfortunately, with all this going on with this Pittsburgh team, and if you look at this matchup, in reality, how is Pittsburgh going to win this football game? I just find it so hard to do. Kansas City coming off of a season where they disappointed in the playoffs. They came into the year expecting to go to the Super Bowl. Keep in mind, Pittsburgh had the 3rd worst odds to win their division. I said before the season, I told Marco, I said, how's it feel to have your Steelers as a 4th place team? Because I thought Cincinnati was better than they were. So this is a team at Pittsburgh. They did not come into the season with high expectations. They have been a better team in the past than they are now. They need to rebuild. They drafted a running back with their first round pick. The Steelers weren't expecting to be here. The Chiefs were. The Chiefs were going to be focused. Pittsburgh's glad to be here. I just think they're overrated at this point, and I expect this line's going to be 13. We may even see it 14, and I was able to get it at 12.5, and that's what it is right now. So I'm getting the best of what the number is. If you don't like it, get it now at 12.5. Buy back as the week goes on at the better number. Set yourself up for a chance of a middle, or at least decide on a number 13.
Bryan Leonard, everybody. Number 2 most profitable handicapper in college basketball. Number 3 in NHL. A good friend of WagerTalk today. We love having you on. Bryan, anything quick to promote? We got like a minute left of the show.
Yeah, I just want you to know that college basketball, now that we're into conference games, there'll be a lot more. Currently number 2, as you mentioned, 3-0 yesterday. I'm also part of that hockey situation that was talked about before with that coupon, so you can get the rest of the season for $2.99.
Yeah,
it was number 2 last year. Currently number 3 is Damn Andrew, pass me up. But I'll be back in number one in no time.
You bet. Bryan Leonard, everyone. Dick and the rest of you guys who can't stop talking about whether you should be vaxxed or not vaxxed, take it to a chat somewhere else. This is sports betting. Tomorrow, if you guys are yapping about this stuff, we're just going to block it. Teddy, before we get into the daily presidential address, and I know we're right up against the wall, Kurt Warner doing groceries, wins the Super Bowl. I mean, it's all set up for Pittsburgh, Teddy. The Super Bowl awaits.
So the Steelers made it there as a 6th seed once before against Seattle as the bottom seed. They won 3 road playoff games and then won the Super Bowl. And I still hear people bitching about that game who had the Seahawks plus the points.
But in all seriousness, Hollywood is writing it out right now. Gets in 2 seconds on the clock. They win in overtime. I mean, the story writes itself. Let's go, Daniel's son, daily presidential address. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the NFL presidential address. And I went 1-2 last time around. I am now on a 16-7 run in these videos. I have a 5% play up tonight. It's $9 Mondays. I completely forgot to even mention it's $9 Mondays today with so much stuff going on, but it's $9 Mondays. You can grab anybody's plays you want for only $9. And of course, I have a 5% play up on the championship game. As for your free bets today, 2 NHL games for you. I like the Avs over the total. Andrew McInnis came on and said he likes the Avs over the total as well. It makes total sense, but it keeps getting bet up. I really don't want to see a 7 out there. Over 6.5 for Colorado and Seattle. And the Rangers and the LA Kings under the total of 5.5. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game. That's it for me. Teddy's got his opening line report with Drew Martin coming up. Theodore, my brother, take us home.
Just to remind you, Prez, this is not your NFL presidential address. It's your daily presidential address. So at least introduce your segment right.
I heard my name. I heard my name. What did you say?
That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. You didn't even know the name of your own segment, dude. I get my big game breakdown right. You're talking to
Yeah, okay, fine. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Bye,
I'm
bye,
making
bye.
fun of you. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Stay tuned for the NFL opening line report at the top of the hour right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. And enjoy the games tonight. Good luck.
Have you ever wanted to create your own handicapping dream team? You can now build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Even more exciting, until Sunday, January 16th at midnight, you can save 15% off your Pick Your Team using coupon code PYT15 when checking out. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, and Ralph Michaels, John Ryan, Joseph D'Amico, and Rocketman. The combinations are endless, and you can choose up to 5 handicappers. You start saving once you choose any 2 handicappers of your choice, and you can pay as little as under $6 per handicapper. Who will make your dream lineup? Just go to WagerTalk or SportsMemo, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand-select your handicapping roster. Don't forget coupon code PYT15 will expire January 16th, so make sure to get your 15% discount.